to save
Pence and
countless
Harris.
American lives, and your continuous undermining
Continuous
of
undermining.
confidence in a vaccine is it's just unacceptable. And let me
Right.
also say, the reality is when you talk about failure in this administration,
Reality.
we actually do know what failure looks like.
Yeah, you're good at it.
It was 2009.
Some
The
Salt
swine
Lake
flu
City.
arrived in the United States. Thankfully, it ended up not being as lethal as the coronavirus.
Right.
But before the end of the year,
Not lethal.
when Joe Biden was vice president of the United States, not 7.5 million people contracted swine
Right.
flu. 60 million Americans contracted
60
swine
million.
flu. If the swine flu had been as lethal as the coronavirus in 2009, when Joe Biden was vice president, we would have lost 2 million American lives. His own chief of staff, Ron Klain, would say last year that it was pure luck.
Pure
They did,
shit.
quote, everything possible wrong. And we learned from that. They left the strategic national stockpile empty.
My
They
word.
left an empty and hollow plan, but we still learned from it. And I think the American people, I want to say again,
Pence,
can you
shut the fuck up, Pence.
Senator, please
Thank you, Vice
stop
President
undermining
Pence.
confidence. in
Pence, you
vaccines.
arrogant
Senator
toad.
Harris, let me ask you the same question that I asked
Go on,
Vice
Harris.
President Pence, which is, have you had
You're
a
a beautiful
conversation
woman.
or reached an agreement with
legend.
Vice President Biden about safeguards or procedures when it comes to the issue of presidential disability? And if not,
Go on,
and if
Harris.
you win the election
Stick it
next
to
month,
him.
do you think you should? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
So let me tell you, first
Kamala?
of all, the day I got the call from Joe Biden, it was actually a Zoom call, asking me to serve with him on this ticket was probably one of the most memorable days of my life. I thought about my mother, who came to the United States at the age of 19, gave birth to me at the age of 25 at Kaiser Hospital in Oakland, California.
California.
And the thought that I'd be sitting here right now, I know would make her proud. She must be looking down on me.
Yeah.
Joe and I were raised in a very similar way. We were raised with values that are about hard work, about the value and the dignity of public service, and about the importance of fighting for the dignity of all people. And I think Joe asked me to serve with him because, I have a career that included being elected the first woman district attorney of San Francisco, where I created models of innovation for law enforcement in terms of reform of the criminal justice system. I was elected the first woman of color and black woman to be elected Attorney General of the state of California, where I ran the second largest Department of Justice in the United States.
She should be the bloody
second only to the
president.
United States Department of Justice.
You're the
From there,
next
I took
president,
on
woman.
everything from transnational criminal organizations to the big banks that were taking advantage of homeowners to for-profit colleges that were taking advantage of veterans. And then, of course, now I serve in the United States Senate as only the second black woman ever elected to the United States Senate. I serve on the Senate Intelligence Committee, where I've been in regular receipt of classified information about threats to our nation and hotspots around the world. I've traveled the world. I've met with our soldiers in war zones. And I think Joe has asked me to serve with him because he knows that we share a purpose, which is about lifting up the American people. And after the 4 years that we have seen of Donald Trump unifying our country around our common values and principles.
Thank you, Senator Harris. Neither President Trump nor Vice President Biden has released the sort of detailed health information that had become the modern norm until the 2016 election. And in recent days, President Trump's doctors have given misleading answers or refused to answer basic questions about his
useless.
health. And my question to each of you in turn is this information voters deserve to know?
You deserve more.
Pence, would you like to go first?
Come on, Pence.
Well, Susan, thank you. And
Your doctors are full of shit.
On behalf of the President and the First Lady, how moved we've all been by the outpouring of prayers and concern for the President. And I do believe it's emblematic of the prayers and the concern that have ushered forth for every American impacted.
A lot of horse shit.
But the care the President received at Walter Reed Hospital, the White House doctors, was exceptional.
Yeah, they're lying,
and the
doctors.
transparency that they practiced all along
bullshit.
will continue.
Now he's lying about them
American
lying.
People have a right to know
What a
about the health
scum.
and well-being of their President, and we'll continue to do that. But I'm just extremely grateful and was more than a little moved by the broad and bipartisan support. And Senator, I want to thank you and Joe Biden for your expressions of genuine concern. And I also want to congratulate you, as I did on that phone call, on the historic nature
Well,
of
he's
your
been a bit
nomination.
more mature than Trump, that's for sure.
I never expected to be on this stage 4 years ago, so I know the feeling. But the reality is, we've got an election before the American people in the midst of this challenging year, and the stakes have never been higher.
Thank
I
you.
think the
Thank you,
choice
Vice
has never been
President.
clearer.
I want to
Wrap it up.
Senator Harris a chance to respond to the same question I asked, which is, do voters have a right to know
Yeah, he didn't answer the
more
question.
detailed health information about presidential candidates, and especially about presidents, especially when they're facing some kind of
Answer the question,
Absolutely, and that's why
Harris.
Joe Biden has been so incredibly transparent, and certainly by contrast, the president has not, both in terms of health records, but also let's look at taxes. We now know, because of great investigative journalism, that Donald Trump paid $750 in taxes. When I
What a
first heard
joke.
about it, I literally said, "You mean $750,000?" And it was like, no, $750. We now know Donald Trump owes and is in debt for $400 million. And just
Holy
so
shit.
everyone is clear, when we say in debt, it means you owe money to somebody.
Yeah.
And it'd be really good to know who the President of the United States, the Commander-in-Chief, owes money to, because
Yeah.
the American people have a right to
They
know
fucking do.
what is influencing the President's decisions. And is he
Yep.
making those decisions on the best interest of the American people, of you, or self-interest? So, Susan, I'm glad you asked about transparency, because it has to be across the board. Joe has been incredibly transparent
Yep.
over many, many years. The one thing we all know about Joe, he puts it all out there. He is honest, he is forthright.
Honest Joe.
But Donald Trump, on the other hand, has been about covering up everything.
Thank you, Senator Harris. I want to give you a chance to respond, Vice President.
Well, look, I respect the fact that Joe Biden spent 47 years in public life. I respect your public service as well. The American people have a president who's a businessman, who's a job
A
creator,
con artist.
who's paid tens of millions of dollars in taxes,
Bullshit.
payroll taxes, property taxes.
Paid nothing.
Created tens of thousands of American jobs. And the president said those public reports are not accurate. And the president's also released literally stacks of financial disclosures the American people can review, just as the law allows. But the distinction here is that Joe Biden, 47 years in public service, compared to President Donald Trump, who brought all of that experience 4 years ago.
Thank you, Vice
And
President.
turned this economy around by cutting taxes, rolling back regulation.
Thank you,
unleashing
Vice
American
Who does
energy,
Trump owe
fighting
money
for free
to?
and fair trade.
Yeah, shut up,
All
Pence.
that's
Thank you, Vice
online.
President.